to Level Up and Friends, where those of us from the video game and comic book store, Level Up Entertainment, get together with some friends each week. Joining me this week, I've got Danny. They have a new comic on Kickstarter that's pretty interesting to check out, and hopefully we promote it and you want to take a look at it today. As usual, I'm your host, Scott. And joining me this week is the creator, Danny.
Hello, I'm Danny. I've got comic out. I have the proof here, so we have a prop that we can look at.
Nice.
This is the right one, right? No, it's this one. Okay, there's one that's more damaged than the other, and I only want to handle that one. So what should I start with?
Let's see. Where can people find your work?
You can follow me. I'm really only on Twitter at Impossible Snail. No funny spellings, just Impossible Snail. Also on Instagram, Impossible Snail. I'm trying to get more, do more on Instagram, but right now it's just promo for the book. But I swear eventually I'll start getting good at social media.
You and me both.
Yeah. Other than that, the Kickstarter is just titled The Skirt. Or if you go to either that Twitter or Instagram, you will definitely find links all over the place. So whatever you want to do for that.
And I'll pop a link in the description for this podcast as well. I guess with that, let's talk a little bit about The Skirt. What's the elevator pitch for it?
Oh boy. I thought I had this prepped, so I'm going to try to walk through my... Yeah, so basically the gist of the story is it's very much just a comedy, and it's kind of playing along the lines of those corny 50s monster movies, and it's basically the gist of our character John is your typical perfect 50s little everyman, and he gets hit by a truck of nuclear waste and discovers that he has awoken now with this terrible skirt, and he has to navigate society where everybody's freaking out, why does he have a skirt? And he's turning into a giant 50-foot monster, but that's not the important part. Not the important part. But that's the joke. It's a joke on society. We live in a society, and how society kind of obsesses about gender and gender roles, almost to its own detriment, as literally nobody will drop the skirt issue when there's a literal giant monster threat. But that's not the important part. Everybody's freaking out because they can't handle that there's a man in a skirt. What do we do? What do we do about this? It's about being trans. It's about dysphoria. It's about gender and society. But that's the general plot of it all.
Using giant monsters as an allegory for something else, some societal issues, is pretty classic. Godzilla's just there to represent, the atomic bomb.
Godzilla. You can kind of see my one Godzilla poster over there, but I definitely have more.
I know you're a Godzilla fan because on the Kickstarter you have, to promote it, you have pictures of Godzilla.
Yeah. I had him holding up the book so I could take pictures with it. My Discord's going off. Let me silence that. No, specifically the monster thing, though, is a fun allegory for other issues. It's both interestingly enough, this is going to distract me. Let me shush them. Okay. Interestingly, it's both to play up that joke of everybody's so obsessed with the skirt, they will ignore the giant monster. But then also the monster side also kind of represents a sort of gender euphoria, and that this is going to be the weird one. You can let me know if I'm rambling off and you have other questions.
No, go for it.
But it's eventually the sort of I don't want to spoil it, but I guess the finale comes in this thing of realizing that being a giant monster is fun, and it's fun to be this new thing. It's fun to be a new thing. It's not necessarily about being a monster is terrible. It's fun to be a new thing, not falling necessarily into one of the split categories of gender that society is so obsessive about and all that.
Yeah, we recently did an episode on the genderqueer experience.
Yes.
And people should definitely go back and listen to that one. But because it's also good for my
It's also
engagement
good
and
for the
whatnot.
audience.
But basically, like, everyone's got a different experience, and really, it's kind of this great, just like with gender and sexuality and stuff. There's kind of this great spectrum there, and once you kind of break out of the pre-programmed box for you, it's like, really discover yourself and you can become just so much naturally happier.
Yeah.
I mean, my joke is that's why it's called being gay.
Yeah.
But we've had a couple of episodes explaining, like, coming out and whatnot on the podcast.
Yeah, I saw some of your stuff.
Almost as many episodes as we've done about Star Trek, but there'll never be more episodes than that because I want to talk about that more than I want to talk about my own queerness or whatever. But yeah, so what's cool about your Kickstarter is if you back it on any level, you'll get the PDF of it right away. So you can immediately start reading it, which is exciting. And I know you already made your goal, so
yeah. I'm gonna be honest, like I just kind of want it to be out there. Like this started more as just like a passion project I just wanted to do. So I really like, because I know people are just like, oh, don't give it away, don't give stuff away for free, and I get that. There's a lot of discussion in the artist community, but I also feel like I don't do comics that often. It's not like my thing. So I wanted to give, like, if you want it, here it is. Even if we don't, and like, because the sort of threat of it is if we didn't fund, then obviously people got it for free. But like, I don't know. I just wanted to be out there.
that's exciting.
So yeah, you get it as soon as you pledge, and then obviously you can just get that. Well, we'll run through the pitch while we're here. You can just get the PDF, or you can get the book when it comes through. There's also stickers, and we did meet our stretch goals, so you will get a free sticker if you buy anything that ships. Because I don't want to ship just a sticker.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I will say the stickers are really cool. I've shown them to some friends. I would love, so you have one that's a parody of the Comics Code Authority, but it's like the Trans Code Authority. I would love a whole series of those for the different, like,
oh, that would be cool.
Like gender and sexual, asexual, sexual stuff.
That.
I'd love like a demi or an asexual one personally. I could also see them as pins eventually, but I think that is, like, I kind of want to back it just for that, but I might as well get the book at that point, as well. So I think they're really cool. They're worth checking out. You also have a couple other good ones too. Wanted by the CIS instead of the CIA is pretty good as well.
God, the CIS. That's like, there's a few jokes that are so funny, but it's like I don't want to give them away because the book is a comedy, but like, just there's a government organization just called the CIS, and it's the funniest thing. And I didn't come up with it. I was literally like, because the whole time I was like, I know we have to have a government organization, and I was like, I'll come up with an acronym later. And I was thinking, it's like, is there something that we could? Is there a way to spell like gender? Is there a way to spell like whatever? And then like I'm pitching it to my friend, and they're like, the CIS. I was like, oh my God.
It's like one of those serendipitous lightning moments.
Yeah, it's just like, that's it. You did it. You did it. I looked it up, and there isn't a CIS organization out there. In fact, very conveniently, if you Google CIS, it just brings up cisgender. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, since it's obviously going to be a reference to that.
Yeah.
What's it? Oh, I guess we'll say for what it stands for. You have to back it and read it yourself. Yeah. But I'm going to talk about your artistic inspiration a little bit. Now, this book is very clearly like the old 50s style comics. Like, I love the ad that's on the back of it. Like, it's, the old, like, getting dirt kicked in your sand.
Yeah, the dirt kicked
buff. Because they knew a bunch of scrawny little nerds were reading comic books.
The exact demographic that would fall for it.
But it's like, what are some of your like artistic inspirations?
Yeah, so I mentioned that obviously, like, I love those old corny monster movies that are terrible, the rubber suits and all that. And so I've always loved that, like, kind of genre. I've always loved like 50s aesthetic in general. I don't know why, I just do. Like, that's just my thing. I've always loved specifically, like 50s aesthetic, but you're kind of poking fun at the way it's so perfect and pristine. And like Little Shop of Horrors is another kind of point to for a sort of inspiration of that. And this, we're pulling from that, like, kind of dark comedy in this perfect little world. And like Rocky Horror Picture Show, which has its controversies, I'm not going into it, and all that. like I've always kind of loved that, like that kind of aesthetic, that kind of space. um and yeah, like this project came from like a like it just sort of happened. Like it really did happen. Like I was already working for like another for fun project that I totally abandoned for this.
Mhm.
It was gonna be like just like a storyboard, and it was another like kind of 50s s thing. And I came up with John for that. Um, and so it was, and I was jokingly terrorizing my friends with this perfect like 50s man who was like, doesn't have anxiety and he loves to do the lawn. And he did like, he talks to his neighbors and all the terrifying things that all of us socially anxious folk
Yeah,
couldn't stand to do.
that sounds like a nightmare.
I know it sounds like a nightmare. So I have this terrible nightmarish creation. um so I had him kicking around, and in like the other corner, I kept I was talking about that, like there really is this overlap of, and I'm sure plenty of people have pointed out this whole things have dissected it, of like there really is this overlap of monster movies and the love of horror and monsters and the queer community as a whole. um
Yeah, I know
and
there's I've seen a lot of think pieces on that stuff. I'm not qualified enough to discuss it in depth.
yeah, I'm also sure it's one of those things where like anybody could be right. You can come up
Yeah.
with the reason, but there also is like, and for maybe obvious reasons, if you really sit down and put it together, there really is a love of specifically like transformative monsters in the trans community. Again, probably for very obvious reason that the trans community is like, wow, it'd be cool to suddenly just like transform into a totally new person. So I was like sitting down and kicking around one day. I was just like, everybody like puts trans narratives to these kinds of stories and monsters. Why don't we just like make one? Just make one. Is like, this is about being trans. Here is this monster story, and it's about being gay and trans. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, somebody should just do that. And I guess that's me. So I had like that kicking around. I had John kicking around. Um, and then I just like started putting it together. I just like started one day. I had a lot of other stuff going on. I was not like well, I was like really stressed out, and it wasn't depressing stuff. It was just like I had to help a friend move. I had to do this. I had to go over there. Like I was just like stressed out, and I like to just pick up a project when I'm stressed. For some reason, when I'm busy, I decided to do more. Um, and I just like started busting it out. Like I just started doing it, and then I got halfway through and I was like, well, I guess I'm doing it now. I guess I'm making a comic now.
It happens
um,
sometimes.
yeah, but yeah, it was just an exploration of that space. Actually, again, let me know if I'm rambling too off the
No, it's all
rails.
good.
I do that a lot. um,
I do it too. That's what the people come to the show
yeah,
for.
that's what the people are here for. um, I did one sort of interesting angle of it though. The other big thing that sort of kicked it off was, this is a very common thread in a lot of ways that when people do like trans stories, especially fun, more supernatural ones like this. And there's nothing wrong with this. This is just usually what you see, is that somebody is one gender and magic forces make them the other. Oh no. And then they're like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. And that's usually the story. But I was like, I was dealing with like some dysphoria, not like dealing with it, but it was like in the back of my mind. I was thinking about it, and I'm a creative person, and I like to try to think of like, try to put it out there, like something, even if it's a silly little cartoon. And then so I came up with, so I had John, and then I just had a bunch of sketches of just like John in the skirt. And one of the gags that I didn't actually do in the comic was that like the legs and upper body don't cooperate, like the like walking and realize, no, I don't want to be walking that way, and like just dealing with that. And I realized I really like this angle of like, um he's it's not like one gender becoming another. It's, you're just this gender, and then something, I'm gonna say wrong in quotes, I don't know how to word it properly, something is forced upon you. This isn't John becoming a new gender. This is the experience of dysphoria, where he is a man and he was living his life just fine, but then something was put on him. And that feels more like dysphoria to me. That like in a perfect world where nobody bugged anybody about anything, it's not like we would just be living, like we would just be minding our own business.
Mhm.
Dysphoria is kind of results of society forcing a label on you, and so you feel that wrongness only because there is these boxes that are forced on you. And so what the skirt is in representing that is, again, it's not the starting as one and becoming another. It's I just want to be who I am this whole time, but everybody's freaking out about this one feature.
Everyone's saying like you don't look the way you're
Yeah,
supposed
you're
to.
not the way you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
um, and so that's the angle that the skirt and all that comes from. um,
No problem. So you say you're a big fan of the old school monster movies and stuff.
yeah.
What's some of your favorites there?
um, Definitely Godzilla, unfortunately, like
I
obviously
mean, everyone. Yeah, I mean, mine's
everybody loves
Godzilla
like that
too.
one's that's the obvious one. um Man, I hate questions like these because I always blank out.
Well, that's no
um
problem. I'll just say
I
I
actually
can't even remember what my first one is, as it's got to have been like some old crappy Godzilla movie that was on like
Yeah, there's so
some
many.
Sunday morning channel. I think the first monster movie I remember like really seeing and blow me away is probably Jurassic Park.
No, yeah,
Um,
Jurassic Park. um
if if you count that as a giant monster movie, but you know,
it's a sci-fi
yeah.
technically.
I mean, they're
uh
big monsters. They're not real
they're
dinosaurs, you know, but like,
That is true. They're not technically accurate. Funny
yeah.
enough, I think I really love Mothra, who is another one of those in the sort of Godzilla
You know
verse.
what? I think you might be the first person that's ever said I really love Mothra.
I love Mothra.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's actually one of my favorites. I think that was like one of the first ones I ever saw. And I just have like an attachment to her like that. Thus, um,
Mhm.
like she's just a giant moth, so there's nothing really about it. But I don't know, I like her. She's
It's
adorable.
weird. Like, it's weird saying that Mothra is probably the most absurd of those monsters because just the concept of them in general is extremely absurd. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, it's literally a giant moth. Like, what's it gonna do?
yeah.
You know, like I
Like,
get a giant like laser blasting lizard is very destructive.
yeah, but
What's a moth gonna do? Eat all of our shirts?
yeah,
Like,
it's just a big moth, and she just flies around. But and yeah, she's not even like a villain per se.
yeah.
Uh,
I guess I'm a bit more of a Ghidorah fan. I just love the effect of just the two wobbling heads.
yeah, that was
Like,
always fun.
but no, those movies always are great, and like
Yeah.
we have to do a whole episode on them at some point. But
Ooh,
there's
yeah.
just so much to talk about how we go into that. But like I love the old cheesy, like I guess even Power Rangers you could say, because I was into that as a kid. You know,
Yeah.
they usually every episode had a giant monster fight at the end, and it's like a dude in cardboard boxes to look like a robot made of dinosaurs.
Yeah. Sorry, Jacob interrupted.
No problem. I've got four animals running around the house right now. I've got a baby gate set up so they like are
Yeah.
away from me, so my dog won't come and try to jump in my lap and knock my mic and everything over. Um, but yeah, so I don't know. I think skirt looks cool.
Yeah.
I think it's coming from a good place. The preview pages look funny. I'm looking forward to reading it. I know I'm going to back it at the physical level. I know even though I'll get the PDF, I know I prefer. There's something about having a physical book in your
Yeah.
hands.
No, there really is something.
It just hits differently, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm
No.
not just saying that because I own a comic book store and I want you to come in and buy comic books. Um, it just is different. Like I will read the PDFs and whatnot. Sometimes that's the only way certain things are available. You know.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, like, for real, like there really is something about book. Like I got this to come in and I was like, oh, touching it, feeling it. And it's like it's bigger than I thought it would be. It's like thicker than I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
How many pages is it?
um it's 50 drawn pages, so I think that's like 20, 25, 30. It's like 27. I don't remember. It's somewhere around 25ish.
Mhm.
Um I don't know. I've done like a 15. I don't know if the paper is just thicker. I don't know. It's just bigger than I thought it'd be.
Well,
But
I guess no pun intended, but like it makes it real when it's in the real world.
yeah,
You know. So it's got like weight instead of just art assets sitting on your
yeah.
computer. Yeah, so like, you said you don't normally do comics. Do you think you would, do you like doing comics now, or something you think you would do again?
Yeah, I mean, like I really do like doing comics. I don't normally do them in that like it's like the two things that I love to do is either video. I swear,
It's
I'm
fine.
sorry. The two things I love to do is either just like video games or comics. Um, like comics have always been like a really big part of my life, and I've always loved the art of making comics, and that's how I first started to draw. Is I wanted to make comics. Um, my only thing is this is weird as an artist, but I don't always love sitting down and just drawing, if that makes sense. Um,
Hmm.
I like game design because it's a lot more technical aspects. So sometimes the act of sitting and drawing 50 pages is just like tedious to me, and I don't always want to do something that dedicated.
I mean, I do
But
I do a lot of writing in my part time, and like I guess it might be similar to the feeling where it's like, oh god, I got like 3,000 more words to go. But
yeah,
it's just like a big chunk of work that you can like look at and be like, yeah, I have to do.
yeah,
Um,
it's always like that. But yeah, no, like I do enjoy making comics, but I feel like I wouldn't do it unless I had something else like this where I really wanted to do it. Um,
to keep it
like
from like being a grind.
yeah, I wouldn't do it as a job as much as every once in a while. If I have an idea, then I'll do it then. Um, other than that, I just freelance for my job. Like I kind of like just doing it like that.
Yeah, at least like with freelance art, like it's a lot of different kinds of things coming your way.
Uh, it's like all kinds of stuff. Um, but yeah, no, I mean like maybe someday I'll do another, but right now it's just like this is all I got. I did
Yeah,
it.
because I don't know, maybe this is just the comic salesman in my brain. But it seems like you could do like whenever you have an idea for like one of these like quote unquote one shots,
Yeah.
dealing with the stuff, you could eventually like compile them together like in an anthology kind of book.
Yeah.
I think
No,
that
that
would be
would
really
be
cool.
that would be kind of cool.
Yeah,
Uh maybe again, maybe. We'll
just
see.
whenever you have idea. I mean, creative process. You do you, man.
But yeah, no.
You said you used to you grew up reading comic stuff. What were some of the books you used to read?
Oh god, like all kinds of stuff. Like for the record, like my dad did like comic convention sales. Like he had like a big booth and would sell, and so like
Hmm.
I just had like boxes that I could just go through. He really liked DC, so I mostly read a lot of DC, and it was like kind of older stuff. I'm blanking. I had a lot of Superman, a lot more Superman than anything else because that was his favorite. But God, what was the name of the series? There was one that was like teenage. It was
Oh, was it
slightly.
Legion of Superheroes? Maybe
I think that sounds right.
because
There
like
was like a
Superboy was in that.
yeah,
Yeah,
Superboy, and there was like yeah, and there was a bunch of dudes.
it's like Lightning Lad and like
Yeah,
they're all like Ladder Boy and
yeah,
that.
there was a bunch of teenagers that were like lad and boy, and they were trying to be cool and hip.
Yeah.
um, yeah, I remember like liking that one just because like it felt like it had more story than some of the like Golden Age Superman, where it's just like oh we're save the day from generic evil monsters, but this one had like oh they have teen drama. It's
Yeah,
like
and the setting opens itself up to like anything weird can happen at any
yeah.
point, since it's like the far future and it's space and
Yeah, it's in
whatever.
space, so there's
Yeah,
no limitations. Jacob just is here now.
fine.
But
People love it
yeah,
when cats show up on podcasts. So
yeah, that is true. Say hi, Jacob. Yeah, but yeah, I mostly grew up with DC, but I really liked Marvel later, but Dad didn't have a lot of Marvels on.
yeah, I know Marvel is specifically created to like relate to like teenage like
Yeah,
angst more. That's like why Spider-Man's so like Charlie
yeah,
Brownish and like life just keeps dumping on him.
yeah, yeah. He's just constantly miserable. Actually, Spider-Man was one of the. I remember. There's not a lot of it that shows up in like Skirt per se, but like one of the things that really helped me draw is like Spider-Man always fascinated me because he was always like swinging around doing those poses and stuff. They would like really go crazy with how he would swing and he's got like his leg behind his head and his arms in three different directions.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I would just sit down and draw like just a page, like a whole page of just doodles of like crazy Spider-Man poses to learn anatomy and stuff. Like it was just sort of an exercise that I did. Yeah, like in comics, like I just started drawing just because I want to draw comic stuff. Like,
Yeah, I would say I always found Spider-Man fun to draw because he doesn't have a face,
yeah, that too.
so you
You
don't have to worry
worry
about making it look good. But you can still be really expressive with the eyes, you know.
Yeah. Oh, I love when they do crazy stuff with his eyes.
I don't like a lot of Todd McFarlane stuff, but I love the big spider eyes.
Oh yeah, Todd McFarlane. Yeah, that was a weird artistic time period that I'm not the biggest fan of. I don't like all the sketchy, the
Like
lines,
the
the
cross
cross
hatching and stuff. Yeah, the '90s is really like messy looking.
Yeah. And like it was I think Todd McFarlane did it the best, and then you have like Rob Liefeld and the infamous Captain America.
Listen, everyone still likes Rob Liefeld for some reason, but like I call him the
I
guy that ruined the '90s for everybody because he
I
got so popular. Everyone had to ape his style.
it was so bad. It was so
Yeah,
bad.
it's funny watching like seeing like artists that are still working today, like Mark Bagley and stuff. You go back and see their old '90s work, and it's just Rob Liefeld's stuff
Just that. Yeah.
again.
Like
I'm sure he's a nice guy. I'm not trying to say,
yeah, I don't know anything about him. I just
yeah,
know that
I've never met him, but
I've never met him. I've continuing my thread of somehow comics have like always been a part of my life. Is like one of my first big jobs was I worked at like a comic store warehouse for
Mhm.
like online buying and selling, and I would have to do like the bulk orders. So we get like the big long comic boxes that people would sell to us, and I would have to be the one to take them all out, organize them, note if everything's in the box, alphabetize it. So just going through like hundreds of comics a day, and God, all of his covers.
I know.
There's
He has like
there's
the
one.
same five characters over and over again. Like, oh, this character is just Wolverine. This character is a different Wolverine.
Yeah, there. Yeah,
Yeah.
he made this whole superhero team. It's like all these characters. You're just rehashing all these.
It's
There's
all
like one.
X-Men. Yeah.
Yeah, Jacob. There's this one cover that always baffled me. Of like, it's Captain America, and there's like this floating woman's face in like the corner. And I'm not kidding. Like, it's a disembodied floating face, and I just like, does anybody know why it's here? And apparently, like, he had a robot wife or something. I don't know. It's just and that's the one that the Captain America, where like you see both his pecs, even though he's standing from the side, kind of one.
Yeah, and his arm is like a
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's really bad. But like I said, he's still doing stuff. Like it's Deadpool's 30th anniversary, so he's got a ton of variant covers coming out of Marvel. Right?
I forgot he did Deadpool. Sorry that this became just trashing Robert Liefeld.
Yeah, we can move on to something else.
Let's go back. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry if he's a good guy and you see this podcast.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're fine.
Yeah, we try to keep it positive, but sometimes you got to talk about what you got to talk about. But yeah, I can definitely get more of like a golden age, silver age vibe from your art style.
Yeah.
Than like any other like period in comic books. And that's not just because this one's got a very clearly like 50s aesthetic.
Yeah.
My friend B calls these kinds of stories suburban dystopia, as I think the phrase, because we were talking about WandaVision. I was like, man, that makes it sound really smart. I'm like, oh yeah, so free for you to use that.
Urban dystopia is so good.
I can't say if they coined that term or not, but I was like, oh, that's a good one. But they really like are a sucker for those kinds of stories. Like they're really into WandaVision.
I keep meaning to watch it. I don't have Disney Plus. I keep meaning to bum it off of like, I think Dad has it. I might just.
If you have Disney Plus, I'd say it's worth watching. I wouldn't buy it just for that.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't keep up with all these streaming things.
Yeah. I can't keep up with just Marvel in general. There's just, granted, we just had a year off from stuff, but there's just so much.
Yeah.
And it all blends together in my brain now.
Yeah. I haven't even watched some of them.
I mean, I know we're spoiled for choice. I remember growing up when comic book movies just did not happen.
Yeah.
Now we get like 500 a year.
Yeah, I know, right? I remember seeing that old Fantastic Four movie, which unfortunately I will defend. I loved it.
The Roger Corman one, the one that was never officially released.
No, the one where it had Chris Evans as
it was the Human Torch.
Yeah, as the Human Torch. I unfortunately love that movie. I will accept any criticism, but I love that movie.
My biggest problem with those movies is they don't have a plot.
Yeah.
Last 10 minutes, and then Dr. Doom just shows up and like, I guess I'm a bad guy.
Yeah,
Fight
that's
me.
really it.
He's like, come at me, bro, at the very end, and then they beat him real fast, and it's over.
Yeah.
I mean, those movies sort of get the dynamic because I'm a big Fantastic Four fan, and like they kind of get the interpersonal like interactions there, but like that just you need something more for them to do
Yeah,
to
that makes sense.
justify it being a movie. Like I don't know. I want to like them more. My favorite one's the Roger Corman one, the one that was made to just to hold on to the rights and was never intended to be released. And people don't know if it's people aren't sure if it is even finished because there's a lot of dialogue that should be ADR'd that's not.
Oh no. I
Um,
might look into that.
it's pretty good. There's also an amazing documentary about it called Doomed because the movie was meant to not come out and they didn't tell the actors and stuff, so they're trying. Um, I would say check it out. It's never been officially released, so everything's just a bootleg of a bootleg. Even
Yeah.
though it's now on the internet. It's kind of like the Star Wars Holiday Special. It got out there, now everyone has access. But unlike the Star Wars Holiday Special, I think it's worth watching. Um, the Holiday Special is not worth watching by anyone, not even after you sating some weird curiosity you might have. It's just it's so boring and long. Like
yeah, that's really the crime of it. It's just boring somehow.
Yeah, it's so boring.
Yeah.
You can watch a highlights video on YouTube and you're good to go. But
yeah, honestly, like any review video on YouTube is better than one.
But yeah, look up Roger Corman's Fantastic Four. It's pretty good. Like the effects aren't great because it's the 90s and they're trying to do some CG stuff with the Human Torch, but like, and again, it's not meant to be released. It's made on the cheap. But like, I don't know, it's fun and it's got this charm to it that the other movies don't have. The big budget ones don't. But yeah, it's a great movie. But yeah, it's a suburban dystopia. Feel free to use that. It's free.
I might honestly I need to write that down. That's like a really good like genre label because that's exactly the kind of stuff that I love.
Yeah, because there's like a lot of old Twilight Zone episodes kind of fall into that. Granted, that's more because it was contemporary at the time, but
that was the time.
Yeah, because I can think of a couple of them. I'm not gonna remember the names, but there's like the aliens are in like a small town, and it's like a metaphor for like communists or whatever, and the paranoia of like, oh my god, who's the other person? Like things. There's a lot of stuff like that in the old Twilight Zone.
I haven't actually watched several too much of the old Twilight Zone either.
I mean, the benefit of Twilight Zone of getting into that now is the anthology nature of it. You can just go on down the top episodes list.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is interesting, and just watch it. You don't have to sit there and watch the whole thing all the way through.
It's not like a series.
Yeah, but I find most the good episodes of that show are really good, and they still are good today. Just because the stories and concepts are so strong. That stuff will always be relevant, even if the flying saucers and stuff look like two paper plates. The characters and stuff, you move beyond it. Like there's one where William Shatner just goes insane, with this little fortune telling machine at a diner, but it's really tense and nothing happens. They're just sitting in a booth talking to his wife while they're waiting for a car to get fixed, and it's one of my favorite episodes. Again, I don't remember the names because I don't remember names. I feel like things. I've one. There's some good ones. You might be into them if you're because the skirt reminds me of that a little bit.
Yeah,
I think just the aesthetics and the other sci-fi nature aspect of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say let's if you haven't checked it out, the link's in description. Donate at any level, you'll be able to get the book immediately.
Advertise.
Exactly, and then comment on this web zone what you thought of it, and we'll definitely check it out. And then hopefully if this is successful, maybe you'll be able to do some more stuff in the future.
It is doing very well. I was really nervous about it, because I don't usually do comics. I haven't done anything like this. I've never done a Kickstarter, and at least directly, I've been involved in stuff that had Kickstarters, but I never did the Kickstarter.
Something you just contributed towards.
Yeah, I did arts for things or other comics and I really just went into it with this idea of well, it's probably going to fail and that's just a good experience. I even set the Kickstarter goal pretty low. I set it a few hundred short just on the assumption that I can cover a few hundred and sell the books and make it up. Like I just wanted to cover most of it because I sell stuff online. I sell stuff at conventions. I was gonna be fine just taking that. But it funded even more all the way to the actual just like full on costs that I needed to cover. So I'm very surprised it's doing very well. Y'all seem to really like it. That
Yeah.
means a little heart.
Do you think like it touched a chord with maybe like the trans community, or do you think it like branched, like people aren't even like caring about that aspect of it, but they're
I
just
think
like, oh, this looks neat, let me back it.
I think that's honestly like I mean I did specifically sit down and make it. And I was like, this is a story about giant monsters and stuff, and it's about being trans. And like I said, there's this huge overlap of people who love giant monster stuff and are trans or queer. And like I said, it's like somebody needs to just go ahead and make that story with the label, this is about this. And so yeah, I think like a lot of people come in, they're like, oh my God, this is what I wanted. It's like, yeah, I did it.
Mhm.
Everybody wanted it, nobody's doing it, so I did it. There you go.
Yeah, like nature abhors a vacuum, so you were the one that happened to fill it.
Yeah.
Sometimes greatness is thrust on you.
Sometimes you see the vacuum, it's like, well, somebody's got to put something in there.
Yeah, that's what
I'll
she
do
said.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I also watch a lot of The Office, so it's all good.
That's
But yeah, I definitely say like check it out. Well, you got like 5 minutes. Like how many? There's a bunch of preview pages of it. Like what's like the first?
yeah, I put like the first 8 pages up.
Oh, 8, yeah, so even more.
Yeah.
So you can check it out. It gets to the
title drop.
Yeah, it gets to like I'm trying to think what it is in storytelling. Like it's not the rising action. Oh, inciting incident, really quick.
Inciting incident, yes.
Yes. See, I know some big words sometimes.
Sometimes we can sound like we know it. But yeah, no, it's the first 8 pages. It gets to the title drop. It's the horrible crash and the terrible reveal. So yeah, if you chuckle at any of the jokes or are interested, then you'll probably like the rest.
Yeah, it's very goofy. Reminds me of like a bit of a Tex Avery.
Yeah.
Type style.
Yeah, that whole kind of like art style era is definitely going to be an inspiration. We're not going over time or anything. I don't know how long we've been doing this.
We go until we want to stop.
Okay. I had a couple interesting just to talk about the art of it in a small way, just because there's like, the first 8 pages hit it. That I had a few. I like to do like art direction. What is it? I always forget the title of it. I like setting up the rules for things more than doing them. And one big thing stepping into this and deciding how the art was going to be is a lot of people love to do this genre, and there's just different ways to do it. A lot of people love to take this concept of like ruining, this suburban dystopia kind of title or thing, and like whenever the big thing I'd point out was smiles. Like usually what they love to do is like exaggerate smiles, that everybody's forcibly like smiling because they have to kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I very specifically didn't want it to be like that, because there are several moments that are I wanted everybody to feel very genuine. I didn't want this to feel like a weird, forced, strange dystopia. I wanted it to feel like you were in the perfect little Archie Riverdale space. Nobody seems unhappy. Nobody's clearly hiding anything. This world genuine. I really wanted to try. There's not a whole lot of space to do this, so I'm kind of like over exaggerating something that only gets done 8 pages. Everything, like, nothing feels wrong. I want to set up nothing feels wrong. Like genuinely nothing feels wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you do hit something suddenly very startling, it feels like it hits a little more. I originally had a lot more kind of, I don't want to say horror, like more like gory, like fun. I guess like I had the intention of this book actually having some more like not gory, like violence. I don't know, the jarring concept of you're living in this perfect Archie world and then like somebody just dies suddenly because it's the 50s and there's no safety regulations on anything.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody cares. And so I wanted to set up that like nobody's like everybody's fine. It's a genuinely okay world, So when something happens, it feels a little more scary and impactful. And so in those first 8 pages, there's like the crash that happens, and I really wanted that to feel like genuinely genuinely a little scary. I don't know if I totally hit all those notes, but it was something that was like I really wanted that to be feel dramatic. There's a few moments in this that I wanted to like play up to feel actually genuinely dramatic, and the way to pull that off is not to have the world feel fake leading up to it, which again is just something a lot of people do with this genre, is they make the world feel fake and then they show very clearly that the obvious veneer was is veneer the obvious facade was the facade. um I don't know, that's just a minor thing, again,
Yeah,
just
I can see what you're saying. Like where it's like people are really miserable all the time, but they put on the face of,
yeah.
everyone kind of looks like the Joker. I know what you mean about those forced smiles.
Yeah, the forced smiles and all that, but I specifically had like a page of like, here's the way faces should look. They're not the Joker, they're not fake.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I really appreciate an expressive style. I mean, I dig the clean line. In general, for art in general, I dig clean lines, very expressive
yeah,
faces and posing. I like a cartoony look. I mean, every story requires something different. Like this probably wouldn't work for like a serious Batman kind of thing, but like, for the tone you're going for, like it's the kind of stuff that's like right up my alley.
yeah.
So I'm really excited to sit down and read the whole thing. Um, I might wait until I get a physical copy in my hands, which will probably be soon. As of this recording, well, there's 20 days left.
Yeah,
So this will probably go up in a couple of days. So you still have about 2 weeks left to get involved.
yeah. Wow, we're doing pretty okay. Yeah, there's still 20 more days. And I it's one of those things where it's like it's funded now and I'm like so excited for it, and then I like look at the calendar and I've chosen like one of the longest months of the year to do this.
Mhm.
Because I thought I needed the time. To be fair, that lets people jump on more.
Yeah, more time is better than less time, right?
Yeah, but I want to do it. I want to order. I want to get the stack of books, But
Oh, that's got to be it's going to be a good feeling when you get them boxes in and they're all just stacked up.
I know. I just love just like stacks of books, clean new books with that new book smell.
Yeah, I bet you can't wait until cons and stuff are able to start up again, so you can start bringing them there and talk to people about them in person.
Yeah, I miss cons because I do like artist alley stuff with like my
Mm.
friends. Um, yeah, I miss conventions so much. I miss doing artist alley.
I know. But like I want that stuff to kind of start opening back up, but I might make sure it's being done right.
Yeah, like I'm scared. Like I'm scared of the ones that are. I'm almost scared of the ones that will open up first. Like
Yeah, no pun intended. They're like the petri like dish like
yeah,
experiment.
like
Because
the
even
con.
yeah, even in the best of times, like con flu has always been a thing.
It's so nasty. It's always nasty. I remember one of my first cons when I was a high schooler. The convention hall, was like we were all in line for the convention hall, so it was like a line that like wrapped around, and they finally opened up the convention hall, and so it's that zigzaggy line that we were just like high fiving each other. Everybody just started like high fiving each other on their way in, and I was like, and like thinking about that later, I was like, that was disgusting.
Yeah.
That was so nasty.
I know. Well, I guess you've been going to cons your whole life.
Oh God, yeah. Like,
what have been some of the like cooler ones you've been to?
I actually don't get to go for, like whole life. Yes, don't get to go to a whole lot. When I was when I was like little, like baby little. Obviously went to the ones with dad, but then he wasn't able to do well. He became an adult and he had to do his job. So
Yeah, I guess that's a bit of a different experience when you're there like working versus
yeah,
like just being able to go and talk to people and stuff.
yeah. So yeah, but yeah, there's like I started going to anime conventions just as a teen, and obviously when you're a teenager, it's so cool to be loosed in the city with no supervision and
Mm-hmm.
at an anime convention where all the cool anime stuff is happening. And then I did that for years and years, and then I was like, I want to do Artist Alley. And now like cons are still fun, but I found that like I've done them so much and for so long that like I kind of Like I feel like there's just not enough to spend every moment of being at a convention there anymore. So it's nice to have like, okay, I'll go to the panels I want to see, and I'll spend a few hours that I want to go and buy stuff, and then I have like a table that I can sit in and just people watch for the
Mhm.
rest of the time. Like I love to get to see just the cosplays, and in the distance there's some nonsense happening, and it's like, wonder what's that is. Somebody
Yeah.
else is having fun.
Oh, there's always some nonsense
There's
happening.
always some nonsense in the distance.
Yeah, I've been to precious few cons myself. My problem why I don't really go to them is well, a having a small business is extremely time consuming. If you don't do it, it doesn't get done.
Yeah.
But like B, once I go there, like once my wallet opens, it doesn't close, and I can't, So like I
Yeah.
want to meet and talk to people, but I feel like I'm wasting their time if I don't buy something.
Yeah, that's always the problem is like, and people get nervous, but I know people on like the internet get nervous about like, oh, I'm talking to the people, I want to talk to the artist at the artist alley and stuff. The answer is always like, you can talk because I like to talk to people. But if you need to disengage without buying anything, take a business card at least. Like my answer is like, take a business card, say thank you, and do step a little. If you're gonna step a little out of the way.
Yeah.
So you're not blocking everything.
Yeah, in my experience, most comic book people or artists that you want to talk to are usually pretty excited to talk to you about comics
Yeah.
and stuff or whatever they've got at their table. I would just say, unless you've got something specific, like you guys are working something out, like maybe you're doing a commission or something there, but like just people like to say like, oh, I like your stuff, maybe, and if you're not gonna, if you can't buy anything, like just basically let them know that they've been seen and you can move along.
Yeah. But
But
yeah, I
most
know
people
people.
I've met have been very cool at these things.
Yeah, like no, if you're worried about like, oh, my problem, like no, most people are fine. If the people who sit and waste everybody's time never worry if they're wasting everybody's time.
Yeah, if you're worrying about it, you're doing something right.
Yeah, if you're worried about it, you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
You're conscious of it. But yeah, man, I miss cons.
Yeah, I would be nice to start doing things again. We're doing like events at least one event every month at the store, and then almost a year to the date, we were forced to be shut down and haven't really had a chance to do much like that since. But hopefully we'll have something cool that by the end of summer. I don't know. Well, a bunch of our employees are starting to get vaccinated. There's like 4 million people ahead of me on the list. Like I'm the least important person in the waves.
Yeah, like Austin is so bad about it. Like I saw the numbers. It's something like we have 300,000 question mark people, and like 200,000 of them are on high priority, just because like a lot of low income, a lot of old folks. So I'm like at the bottom of the list, and I'm like, you know what? That's fair.
Yeah. I guess fortunately you can do your job from home, right?
Yeah, like I'm fine. I stay safe, get my groceries from pickup.
Mm-hmm.
Do not fight. There's another cat in the room.
Oh, I've got 3 of them running around. You don't have to tell me about that.
Yeah, I've got one cat. My roommate had 3. So
Yeah, my brother was living with me, and then I think they had just gotten engaged. His fiance got 3 kittens. I was supposed to keep one. They were supposed to take one, and they had a friend that was supposed to take the third. That friend fell through. Her grandmother passed, and they inherited her mean old cat.
Oh,
so like they would have killed the one that they would have taken. So I wound up with 3 of them, and now I've had them for like 6 or 7 months, and now I'm attached. Now I don't want to.
Yeah, now you can't. Now you own them.
Now they have personalities and stuff.
I know.
Yeah, now I can't get rid of them, but they still are technically kittens, even though they're like cat size. So like occasionally
that weird
they will chase each other and slam into everything, and it's awful. But the rest of the time they're very sweet.
No, I love cats, but
so do I. I've also got a dog. Unfortunately, this best case scenario where like none of them care about each other, so it's all right, good, perfect.
Yeah, that's the best way to balance it.
Yeah, so as long as they don't bother each other when there's food about, they're fine. So I just I feed them in different rooms, so it's all good. But yeah, so I guess I'll probably do us with this. I think we went almost an hour.
Okay.
So again, the link is in the description. Danny, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
And again, you're the impossible, or not the Impossible Snail, just Impossible Snail on like
Possible Snail.
Twitter and Instagram.
Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah.
I swear I'll get
Facebook's
that
for
out.
old people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't go on it personally. But yeah, so if you want to check out your stuff there, and we can, I think I think it's worth checking out. Thank you so much for coming on the show and plugging your book. Hopefully, you see a small bump in sales from this. I've always said I don't really do this for the viewers. I do this just because I want to talk to people about stuff. So it's just
honestly, yeah, I just love getting up here and being able to just talk to everybody. So
yeah. Again, thank you so much. So the plan is for next episode, we're going to do the Snyder Cut, but I think it's going to be the way it's releasing on Thursday. Episodes go up on Friday. It's 4 hours long, and I don't think we're going to be able to have a chance to watch it in time. So maybe we'll talk about something else. This episode is going to come up, because it's a Kickstarter and time sensitive. I'm going to try to get it up in the next couple of days. So it won't be a part of the normal Friday release, but it'll be episode 40. It's going to be an official.
You don't need to worry about
the canon
terribly much. Yeah, like there's still like 3 weeks left or whatever.
I just want to. Yeah, it's also good to get more content up anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So until next time, be safe.
Yeah.